Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Shack. I'm Trina.
And I'm Steph. And we're going to be yakking about stuff.
Yeah.
And when I say yakking, I mean chatting, not like yakking something up. That's just different.
That's
We're not,
totally
not doing
different.
any of that here.
No, not this week anyway.
No.
We have a... Oh, I've started already and I've got a frog in my throat. We have got our brews. Because if you listened to last week, you'll know we're carrying on.
I'm just gonna reiterate that we have got our brews, not the purple kind you get from having a punch, but the brewed, a drink.
A drink.
Brew,
yeah. A hot drink. You've got water still?
I still have my water.
Still have your water.
I've got
nice.
my big bucket of water in my...
And I have my
cow bowl.
Goblet of coffee.
Is it still warm?
Oh,
it's doing
still
well.
Hot. It's a good cup. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well.
We have a fascinating subject this week.
What we talking about? Because I ain't got a clue.
We did have a little giggle about it because it is about UAPs. We said it sounded like OAPs.
Yeah, like underage pensioners or something.
Yeah. In the UK, OAP means an older person, an old age pensioner.
Yeah, a person that is currently drawing their pension.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, which I am.
Which you are. And I'm not.
No. So one of us is, one of us isn't. But this is nothing to do with old people, apart from the fact that I'm reading it.
It's a little bit to do with old people.
Just a little bit. A teensy wincy bit.
I love it.
So this is about UAPs, which is the new acronym. Is that what it is? Is it an acronym? Is that what UAP means?
Yes.
I don't know these big words.
I think
anyway,
acronym is the right term.
Let's just say, I was saying about not liking big words. This week is full of big words. So I'm going to have great fun with this. So I am talking about star people. People
like
from
famous people?
No, not celebrities. No, they don't get a look in on my show.
Okay.
Unless they're very nice and they want to come and talk to us for nothing, then they might let me in. Right, let's get on with this, because we've sort of hinted at UFOs and things before, but not so much. So I think it's quite a nice way to sort of ease ourselves in this one. And the question is, what if they didn't all come with the same purpose?
Like you're thinking?
What if some came to guide us, teach us, some came to observe, and some came to examine who and what we are and what we might become? Or are they all the same, doing different jobs?
I like your thinking on this.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on this. So yes, I'm keen. Go ahead.
Okay. So 3 questions. 1 triangle. The oldest mystery humanity has ever faced. Did they come as teachers in the ancient world? Do they watch us now from the shadows? Or are some of them actively experimenting on us? And are these even the same beings at all? Are they from different worlds or different places, different realms, different dimensions? Love it. The ancient aliens as teachers hypothesis, see, new big word to start with, has its roots in Eric von Daniken's 1968 bestseller Chariot of the Gods. The core claim was that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in the distant past, and they introduced civilization, architecture, and high technology. I wish they'd be able to teach me how to keep my headphones from falling off.
It's because you're like me, you've got a funny shaped head. I have to sit mine so far back.
I have a very small head, and even I ought to get child ones, really.
Yeah.
I've lost myself now. Explaining achievements in language, mathematics, science, and architecture, like the Egyptian pyramids, Pampanuku, Teotihuacan, and Stonehenge. I've got some others, and I've actually written the words out, so I know how to say them. The evidence that people point to is the Anunnaki. That's the word. Sumerian texts describe beings who came down from the sky to shape humanity, among the oldest written records on Earth. Wow.
I like it. I like it.
Now, I've got more big words. The Quetzalcoatl.
The what now?
The Quetzalcoatl and the Mesoamerica are the Maya and the Aztecs describe feathered serpent gods arriving with knowledge of calendars, astronomy, and agriculture.
My life. Okay.
Yeah. And universal mathematical patterns, the Mayan calendar, the golden ratio, and Egyptian design, the flower of life and geometry, are consistent across cultures separated by vast oceans, all pointing back to the stars. So, like, where the hell did we learn all this stuff from if it wasn't from one particular place? Ancient observatories. These are fascinating. I've had a look at some of these on YouTube, and they are incredible. Ancient observatories for the stars. So you've got Stonehenge. You've got the Nabta Playa, the Gobekli Tepe.
My life.
Yeah. And these all track solstices, eclipses, and stellar alignments with precision that staggers modern engineers. So these places
are just laughing at you saying engineers.
Engineers.
Not engineers. Engine. Not engineers. Engineers.
Engineers. I don't care how I say it. I know what I mean. And you know what I mean.
And I know what you mean, so it's fine. We just have to clarify for our listeners that, yeah.
Engineers. Right. The Book of Enoch and angels as teachers. The biblical watchers that descended to teach humans metallurgy, astronomy, and medicine have been interpreted by some as literal extraterrestrial contact.
Extraterrestrial contact. Okay.
Yeah.
But when it came to medicine,
yeah,
which part of medicine are they talking about here?
These are talking about ancient medicine. So
because I'm just thinking that, like, if it was like there were some basics, right? That we got wrong quite a lot as a human race. And I don't know, I feel like there are some fundamentals there that maybe I've missed something, because I'm not as clued up as some historians will go into, into huge details in these kinds of events, and they'll depict how this sort of information magically appeared. But I think sometimes when we hear about things like this, it's like somebody made a discovery on something. For instance, there was a chap that ran out of I can't remember what they were using, a certain oil or something they were using to cauterize wounds, clean wounds, things like that. And he ran out of something, and he ended up using like turpentine and egg or something to seal these wounds up. And it ended up sort of developing into this sort of clotting agent that they use now. And it's like we made so many mistakes through medicine that we learned along the way. Now, when we've got things like ancient Egypt and we've got things that we still don't fully understand now, texts that we don't fully understand now, that's a different thing, because we just don't know, right? So I have that for me is two different scenarios. We've got one thing that we still really don't quite understand now. That tells me that this wasn't a gradual process of learning. Whereas when we look at medicine and things, it's like, well, there was a gradual process, unless somebody comes out there and says, yeah, but hey, what about this? And in which case I will eat my words.
And I think there's probably more to look at this, because it was like some of this, you look at it and it could be like taking us way back to like when the healers were using like natural ingredients in flowers and plants. Was that more about what it is? I haven't looked into the details of this yet to actually understand. I did start to look at the Nabba, which is an area which is built similar to Stonehenge in actual fact. Yeah, you'd probably be able to look that up. I can give you the spelling of it. The Nabta, and you can have a with my posh new video thing, I may be able to put a picture up of it. You never know.
What is it?
So then the Nabta is spelled Nabta.
I've got it.
You've got it.
Yep. It's a series of standing stones. It's a series of standing stones which is set up in a circular formation with a central collection in the middle. That seems to be the common depiction of it.
Yeah. So these places, along with Stonehenge and along with the other place, this Göbekli Tepe, which is they track stars and planets and things, eclipses and stellar alignments, so star alignments and things like that, that staggers modern engineers as to how the hell they did that back in the days. Obviously we know when Stonehenge was built, how they worked it out exactly where to put this stuff so that they could track these things. And this is, and plus also there's like drawings, you know, even down to cave drawings where there are weird drawings of like space type creatures coming down from the sky, which all obviously set the questions like, was there or wasn't there? Did they come and teach us or didn't they?
Well, I think, and this is the thing, because as much as I have issues with some of it, because I just feel like we have had a gradual progression of knowledge, some of these things we really haven't. We've made leaps, right? And one of my questions, and this came up while I was rereading the book Contact, when it got towards the end, and sorry, it's an old thing now, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling it for anybody, was the question of whether or not she actually made contact or not, because they didn't send her back. And I say her because the movie was her. It was 5 people in the book, just saying. They did not follow the same pattern, but they sent her back, and it was important because there was only one of her in the movie. Now, like I say, it was 5 people in the books, and therefore they kind of had proof to each other that they experienced the same thing. In the movie, it wasn't the case, so it was just her. So she had to try and prove what she'd seen and what she'd felt, and that was kind of impossible. And me and my other half sat down, and I was like, well, that's a really interesting point. But why would they take her out there, send this information? So they built this machine, send her out there and send her back without a single shred of evidence. And we sat and had this conversation about it. And it's like, if they had given them proof of this, right, then the civilization back on that planet wouldn't have to do any more growth in order to know this, that, and the other. Now, if you can then travel whenever you want, because again, it was like a one-time deal, couldn't reuse the machine again. Why would they make it a one-time thing? Why didn't they? If you're going to open up that, sorry about that. If you're going to open up that network of travel, why would you take it away again? And then I started to think about it, because it's like, if you give a kid all the information they could possibly need and then take them out of that environment and stick them with people that know a hell of a lot more, they're going to be completely lost. And they're going to feel inferior. And inferior beings don't behave well. You know, it doesn't go well if you can't keep up with what is going on around you. So it's like a little boost to your civilization. Like, hey, there's more going on out here. You can come join us. Get your act together, you know, and a bit of inspiration, if you like, rather than it being this free gift. It's almost like a little wave of, hey, we're all out here doing other stuff. Get your shit together and you can come join us. But until then, you've got a little bit of learning to do yet, you know? And until you can get a civilization to work together, to actually work together to make things work, until that happens, I don't think we're going to get there. But
that's an interesting thing that you said there, because I was listening to somebody who was talking about, she was a spiritual lady who gets her messages from her guides and things like that. She was actually talking about or her and the person she was discussing with were talking about the spaceship that went up recently to the moon, and the photographs that they sent back, and the fact that even they said they looked down on Earth. There are no borders. It is a planet of 800 million people or something, I think it said. And it's like, this is our world. And all of us are human beings living on this world. But we insist on dividing ourselves, cutting ourselves off from others, and not looking at the big picture. And they were saying how frustrating it was. And that if only we would work together and embrace other people's cultures, other people's ideas. So it was something else that one of the interviewers I was listening to the other day was saying the same thing. And he said, I sit here opposite so many different people with different views, different political views. It wasn't a political type interview. He doesn't do politics. He does lots of stuff around it, but he doesn't actually do politics. He said, but it's fascinating to me that I can sit opposite somebody who has totally different politics to me. And yet really, when we discuss things, we seem to want a similar end. What we want really and truly is the same.
That's the hope. That's the hope. I think there are obviously extremes in every situation, and I think when we're taken to the extreme, and when our wants extend out, so what we want for ourselves is not what we want for others. Or if our wants are not for ourselves, we only want for others. And sometimes that is a negative want. I think that's, when those extreme things come into place, when we're actually looking for one thing for ourselves and another thing for somebody else, that's when there are issues for me. But this is the thing. There are 8.3 billion people on this planet. In fact, 8.3 and 8.3 and a bit.
I think by the time you've said that, there's probably more now.
Oh yeah, there probably is. Yeah, yeah.
I've had
but this is the thing. It's like when you go up into space and you look down at this tiny little ball that's just sitting there doing its thing, and it's like, and all of these people are all fighting amongst themselves. And is it any wonder that other civilizations out there are going, do you know what? Give them a bit more time, guys, because this ain't gonna, this just doesn't wash. We don't want to get involved with that.
They need a bit more time.
They need a bit more time.
I've got like a skeptical angle on this, which you might be quite interested in, is looking at archaeology demonstrates that ancient monuments were built through human ingenuity, coordination, labor, and gradual innovation, which is true. I'm not saying there isn't any of this, but I'm also surprised by by some of the things of where we move forward very quickly. But there's also an argument for that as well. The ancient alien argument follows a flawed pattern. The pyramids are precise, and precision requires advanced technology. Humans without machines couldn't have done it. This skips millennia of accumulated knowledge, trial and error. So that hasn't accounted for the fact that there was millennia before that where maybe we built things that didn't last or did things wrong. So accumulated knowledge, trial and error, and extraordinary organizational genius. And there are geniuses that appear on the earth. And you can't get away from it. We talked a little bit about it before when we said about people who we believe maybe lived before, so may have this knowledge already. Those ideas also crystallized during the Cold War amid fears of nuclear annihilation and the space race. It also happened during the World Wars. Technology just increased incredibly during those wars because there was a need for them to be.
This is the thing. This is the jumps that are quite often made are jumps because of necessity. Changing in farming techniques and the Industrial Revolution and all these things, they changed because there was need of it. See a need, fill a need, and all that.
So having a look here, so that one was the teachers, looking at the teachers in ancient times. This one here, this is point 2. So point 1 of the triangle was the teachers, point 2 the watchers. This is where theory meets modern testimony, where the conversation has shifted dramatically. The US Pentagon formally established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO. By 2022, government-sourced UAP reports had risen to over 510, with nearly half still unexplained. And this is no longer fringe territory. So they've admitted that there are things out there they cannot explain. Former Defense Intelligence Agency official and UAP Task Force Director Jay Stratton said, "I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings." And former NOAA head admiral Tim, I think his name is Gallaudet. It's a French word. So Gallaudet or Gallaudet, depending if you say the T on the end, said he is totally convinced that we're experiencing a non-human high intelligence whistleblower, David Grusch. It's difficult to say that name. Grusch. Grusch. Notably said never used the word extraterrestrial. He actually said interdimensional. There you go. I have lots of notes here. And he first proposed by, here we go, MIT astrophysicist John A. Ball in 1973, the zoo hypothesis states that extraterrestrial life intentionally avoids communication with Earth to allow for natural evolution, just as we observe animals in a zoo without interfering. I question that, because animals in a zoo are going to act totally differently.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, animals are in a zoo, they're already interfered with.
Yeah.
Their natural behavior is not natural behavior.
Yeah.
What you see is a reflection of what you put them in.
Yeah. So maybe not. I do understand
maybe
the
not
zoo.
quite in that way, but
no. But I can understand them watching us from afar, like we would watch animals from afar in nature, in normal habitat, having been left alone.
Yes.
That I do understand. Earth may be a galactic wildlife reserve. In 2024, astrobiologist Crawford and Schwartz Mackuk updated the theory in Nature's Astronomy, dubbed Zoo 2. I quite like that. Zoo 2. Ball's laboratory hypothesis goes darker. We're not just being watched, we're the experiment. And then it gives you an interdimensional wrinkle here. It says, in Grunch's language, it is deliberate. The watcher hypothesis shifts entirely. They may not be from a distant star system. They could be occupying a layer of reality alongside our own. Harvard researchers have also proposed that the extra-terrestrial hypothesis, I sounded like a scientist doing this, intelligent beings concealed underground on the moon or walking amongst us. One researcher even argues the beings are us. We are future humans, time traveling back to observe our own origins.
I was just actually having a look through here because there is a thing in here about pondering the sorry, this is in my little book of positives.
All right.
And there's a thing in here about what people have said regarding the meaning of life and pondering. And in terms of us saying about extraterrestrials and other sort of life forms and the fact that we're so small. There's one in here that was written by a Roman philosopher, and he said that no man can live happily who regards himself alone, who turns everything to his own advantage. Thou must live for another if thou wishest to live for thyself, which is quite interesting. I quite like it. And then there's other things in here that there was an American philosopher and psychologist called William James, and he said the greatest use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it. Again, really nice thing. That whole concept of civilization moving forwards.
Yeah.
You know, something that you did, something that an impact that you made on someone else. Because I do consider that is something that will outlast it as well. You know, that an impact that you make on somebody else, on a child who is going to outlive you and hopefully influence other people. You know?
Absolutely. And I have also planted trees.
Yes.
I planted trees for my grandchildren. The two smaller ones, that is, because the bigger one was already here before I got the area that I want to plant the trees. So when they were born, I planted 2 oak trees. And it's fascinating that one of the trees, which belongs to Oliver, has shot up really, really tall. Oliver is really, really tall, and is taking a little slower to start this year. It's taking its time, whereas the other one has just gone out out at all angles. All the leaves are out on the tree. They are the same trees and they are next to each other. And
So
you're
they're in the
just
same
like,
environment, same thing.
yeah. And you're just
let's
like,
face
are
it,
they?
a tree that is fairly explosive represents Elwyn quite well, I think.
It does perfectly. Yeah. I thought, yeah, the two trees just suit them down to the ground.
Yeah.
The skeptical angle of this, I did try and get that on all of these. The zoo hypothesis requires a vast galactic scale conspiracy of silence.
Oh,
Interesting. Every advanced civilization has to agree never to make contact if all they're doing is observing.
yep.
As physicist Daniel Whitestone notes, when was the last time anybody worked together to keep a secret? The hypothesis is also unfalsifiable by design. The absence of contact itself presented as the evidence. So projecting human motivation into alien civilizations may also be a fundamental error. It's a bit like us saying God is made in our image and then saying that God does things like human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because we think that's what we would do does not mean to say that's what yeah.
And I do come back to my comment on I don't know is still an answer.
Yeah. So point 3, the experimenters. Active contact. This is the darkest point of the triangle and the one with the most personal documented human testimony. Whatever is happening here is not passive. So I've got some accounts here. Bett and Barney Hill in 1961. It's probably very well known. The first widely reported alien abduction case on a New Hampshire highway. The Hills reported missing 2 hours of time. Under separate hypnosis sessions, so they were separated, both of them hypnotized, both independently, they described medical experiments by grey extraterrestrial beings. Barney drew detailed sketches of the beings before such imagery was widespread in culture. Hypnosis tapes and physical evidence are preserved at the University of New Hampshire Special Collections. So that was 1961. 1975, and I have seen a little YouTube thing about this one. Travis Walton, a logging crew of 7, witnessed a UFO in Arizona's Apache Sitgreaves National Forest. That's obviously the name of it. Walton approached and was struck by a beam of light. He was missing for 5 days, during which a formal murder investigation was opened. All 6 remaining crewmen passed polygraph examinations. Walton does not describe the experience as an abduction. He believes he was accidentally injured and the beings were attempting to heal him. So, and the it's an interesting account from the crew members as well, because they were so worried about him. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't collect him. They couldn't get him because he'd gone. And because then the murder investigation, they were all just like, no, none of us killed him. That's why I think the polygraph examinations were done, because they were all under suspicion of murder. And then 5 days later, he walks back in. It is a fascinating story.
Well, I mean, there's 2 particular quotes that have been said before. Now, one of the quotes was an Agatha Christie quote. She said one thing. And the other one is an Albert Hubbard quote. And I'm not sure who said it first, but they're both very similar. And one of them is that the supernatural is the natural not yet understood. And I quite like it, because when you don't know the answer to something, you create what you think the answer might be. Right? So whether that is because aliens, because God, because whatever, right? There's a book by Robert E. Heinlein, I think, And he wrote in these characters that were scientifically massively ahead of their current civilization that was on the planet. And they had these sort of these abilities that they passed off as miracles. Now, it wasn't, it was pure science, right? But they passed them off as miracles to these beings who thought they were obviously, supernatural beings. These were gods, they were prophets and, important people, and they had to follow them because they were doing amazing things. They were conducting miracles. And it was written from these people's points of view who were like, this is really funny. They think we're great. Like, they think we're wonderful. And it's because they don't understand what they're doing. So these people see magic. These people see miracles where the people doing it go, well, I know exactly how this works and we can do it whenever we want, Yeah. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Because it is like the supernatural is just the natural world, but we just don't quite understand it yet.
Someone was talking about something similar the other day about these things that we don't understand, and they were like, it would be like us turning up, going back into the 1600s.
If we were to time travel back,
to the 1600s with an iPhone and take film of somebody and show them, and get AI to make a picture of do you know what I mean? It would be magic.
Yeah absolutely.
And
I mean, even if you were to take that type of concept and take it back 50 years before we had such things as internet, all right, the internet was starting at that point, but it wasn't available to the public. It was in major sort of classified situations.
It had to be in big buildings because it was the size of an aircraft container. I mean, you're talking, these computers were massive.
Yeah, and absolutely.
And some I can't remember his name, but I know a man who said that why would the general public want something like a computer in their home?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got the bigger pattern here. It says Harvard psychiatrist and Pulitzer Prize winner John Mack spent years interviewing abductees, concluding that the vast majority were psychologically healthy, credible individuals describing genuine, inexplicable experiences, reoccurring elements across thousands of independent accounts that were missing time, medical examination, reproductive sampling, and most intriguingly, messages about environmental destruction on Earth. So that was quite a pattern that was coming from the people that he interviewed. The skeptical angle, here we go. A Columbia University psychoanalysis proposed that accidental awareness under general anesthesia, so waking during surgery, could produce disassociated memories later, reframed as alien encounters. I find that difficult because surely you would know that you were going in for an operation, or somebody else in your family would know that you went in. So they would say, no, you weren't abducted by aliens. Don't be so daft. You went to the hospital. Do you remember? Look, here's your appointment for the tumor that you've had cut out today. A 2021 study found 75% of volunteers could recreate alien encounter experiences through lucid dreaming. Now that I can sort of understand. That is suggested REM sleep and sleep paralysis that may account for some of the reports. Possibly. I can work with that. Critics also note that the Hill case established a cultural template that later accounts rarely deviate from. And I find that quite fascinating too, in the fact that what they said happened to them seems to happen to a lot of other people. Now, that either makes it weird, because how can everything be the same or similar? But also, if it is the same people coming and doing the same things, then of course it's going to be similar. So, yeah, there you go. So that was the Betty and Barney one that I talked about. It says here, the Fermi Paradox. This is Skeptic's Corner, the big picture problem. The Fermi Paradox cuts both ways. If aliens are capable of interstellar travel and have visited Earth for millennia, why is the evidence consistently ambiguous? So why is the evidence pretty unclear and could mean more than one thing? After thousands of years, you'd expect something unambiguous. Clear meaning, only one meaning. So, yeah, but then, like I said right at the beginning, what if it's not just one civilization coming?
Yeah,
what
and
if
not to mention the fact that, again, like I was saying before, they're not providing proof, because it's just the incentive to search for your own truth, to progress as a civilization, to go in the direction that you feel is most, poignant to your civilization. So yeah, if it was spelt out for you, you wouldn't learn.
Yeah.
Some of this knowledge we have to learn for ourselves.
Yeah.
And somebody just turning up and giving you the answers at the end doesn't teach you everything you need to know.
And wouldn't all these podcasts that talk about all these different things, wouldn't it be boring if we all knew the answers to everything?
I would say there are certain people who run these podcasts that really could do with doing a little extra research. Because the amount of times that I have listened to some of these podcasts with my head in my hands.
But probably people listen to ours with their head in their hands as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And come and tell me about it. Come and tell me about it. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. So cultural contamination is real. The Hill cases created a template, which they did. The grey people, missing time, medical examinations that later abductees rarely deviate from. Is this shared experience or shared storytelling? Then the motive projection is dangerous. Every hypothesis assumes alien civilizations have motivations mapping onto human ones. A civilization millions of years more advanced may operate on principles so foreign that our entire framework is wrong. So again, us putting our thoughts, our feelings, our expectations onto another civilization, saying, oh yeah, that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. No, it could be totally, they're sitting up in their spaceships going, no, loves, nothing, no.
Yeah.
we're definitely
don't be daft.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing that. But pulling it all together, here's the genuinely fascinating thought to end on. The 3 points of the triangle might not be in conflict at all. What if we're looking at the same phenomenon at different stages of a relationship? So teachers from the ancient world become gods. The relationship is open. The watchers, they pull back. Disclosure would corrupt the data. So they don't. Yeah. Earth becomes a reserve, and observation without interference serves their purpose. And then the experimenters, even within a watching protocol, some interaction continues. Biological sampling, genetic monitoring, not necessarily malicious. Harvard researchers have seriously proposed that being behind UAPs may be that beings behind UAPs may be concealed right here on Earth, underground, on the moon, or walking amongst us. One researcher argues that they may be future humans. This is coming back to what we mentioned before, time traveling back to observe their own origins. If true, the alien-human distinction collapses entirely. The honest conclusion, we don't know.
There you go. We don't
know. But for the first time in human history, governments, academics, and credible military witnesses are all saying the same thing. Something is here. Something has been here, and we don't know what it wants.
That's the truth of it, isn't it? As much as we know, that's it.
Yeah. And it says that, and as I've put here, that's not nothing. That actually is the most interesting place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're still finding out. We're still discovering.
Still learning.
It's a bit like the very early explorers that went out to different islands and seas and across oceans to find unknown.
Did you know that if you go onto Google Maps, right? Normal Google Maps, not Google Earth, just Google Maps, and you pull out from the map, right? It'll give you an option on the left-hand side to look at other places, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at the moon, and you can look at Mercury, and you can look at the moon on Jupiter, right? Or one of them anyway. And it will zoom you in through space and show you a picture of it. And you can zoom in to that and go to all the little places that have all been named already.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really something for that, because to even anybody who has access to this, who has access to the internet, can take a look at this and get a better idea. Now, you can't see Earth in relation to the moon or Mercury or things like that, but it's an interesting thing for me to see everything with all this blackness around it. That there's a lot of space out there that could hold any number of answers, or just more questions. I don't know, probably a lot more questions. But it's not just us. It can't just be us. There's too much space out there.
Oh, absolutely.
What a waste of space.
What a waste of space.
Out there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I would just encourage people to continue seeking.
Yeah. It
answers.
Says why does this idea persist? I think because people are always reporting new things happening that they don't understand. I've got down here human curiosity about the cosmos. We are curious about things that we, haven't gone to yet, or about. It's part of our psyche, I think, as human beings, wanting to know more, to
I think we're naturally
get more knowledge.
Creatures.
We are. Gaps in history invite speculation, and we love it. We love to ask questions and have discussions.
We love a good mystery.
We do. We absolutely do, and that, I think, this is just what it is. And it does help to blend myth with belief and possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm there.
And I've got a few questions. It says, if visitors came, why did they leave? My question would be, have they?
I like
that.
Are
you sure? Are you sure they've left? Are you sure they've gone? And why is it cultures share similar sky being stories? I think that was the fascinating thing that I found out about when we were looking at the stone, the stone buildings,
stone
the structures,
standing stones,
that could map the stars, and the fact that at the time when these were built, there were no ships traveling from one continent to another. So one continent, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away, had similar structures in another continent.
If you consider that, right, You consider the fact that a group of people, a civilization, if you like, on one side of the planet, they have to bear in mind that they didn't have all the light pollution that we have now. So every night, the sky lit up with these lights, and that they move, and they can see them,
moving,
and certain groupings being in a different spot at a different time of year, and all this kind of stuff. And they're seeing that every day or every night, as the case would be. And they don't know about the other civilization on the other side of the world because they haven't found them yet. They can't see them. They can see their sky light up at night. So it would make absolute sense that that's what they're trying to figure out. Not so much about what you're doing over there, because I don't even know you exist. I know that exists.
No. Yeah.
And this is why I love it when you start seeing the whole thing of like, oh, well, these people, who criticize in history and the people that worship the sun or worship the moon or worship the sun god or the god of thunder or all this kind of thing. And it's like, well, I can't criticize that because that is literally there, right? I can understand somebody that worships the sun because it's right there and it has an impact on our life. I have an issue with religion and being told that there is this magical man in the sky because I've seen no evidence at all, right? So I have an issue with that, which I'm more than happy to discuss further. But for me, it's like understanding the fact that they wanted to map the thing they could see.
Yeah.
And how it changed and how it moved. And I just think that's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. But it makes sense to me that they would choose to do that because they're seeing that every night and they're seeing how it changes and it moves.
Yeah. So we want to know, our listeners, if you have ever had any sort of UFO. They don't call it that anymore. They call it this UAP. I did find out what it meant and I can't remember.
Oh,
unidentified something or other. I can't remember now. I wrote it down. Oh, I've got it. Unidentified autonomous phenomena.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. What questions are still unanswered? I would say all of them.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Has anything like this happened to you? Anything at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
I did have a spooky experience with something that was in the sky a couple of times. I have mentioned it before, but I think we'll go into that a little bit deeper on another day.
Okay.
Does anything about our discussion today change how you feel about the subject? Do you want to look into it a bit more than you have before?
And where do you start?
Is there something about UAPs that you wish more people would talk about? But I think if you go online and you can go down all sorts of rabbit holes. So good luck with that. Let us know what rabbit holes you go down. Let us know what you get out of them.
Yeah, where it leads you.
Yeah. Where it leads, yeah. But the UAP is something in the sky, water or space that we cannot explain. It changed from UFO because UFO was associated with aliens. And UAP it's supposed to sound more scientific, they said. Which I thought was lovely.
Well, it just sounds better, doesn't it?
It does. And because some of these anomalies appear in water or appear on sensors only, which is interesting. Not just in the sky. So therefore, it also encourages pilots, officials to report sightings without stigma.
Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
So that's the reason it was changed. I did look that up and that's what I found out. So that is it for today with our OAPs and UAPs.
Absolutely. An OAP talking about UAPs.
Yeah. So subscribe, give us a thumbs up.
Let us know your thoughts.
Blow us out the water. Let's have a like for every single person that watches this. We'll
Not
probably
be
only
amazing. They'd have to get
two.
this far to be told that, though.
Well, then we'll know you got to the end.
There you go. Yeah. If you've made it this far through the video, comment cauliflower. And we'll know you're listening.
We'll know you're listening, and we'll be chuffed to bits.
Anyway.
How to please 2 random people in the world by writing cauliflower.
Yeah. Comment
and
cauliflower.
Know that you will make our world very happy.
Brilliant. With that being said, lovely people, keep your minds open and your lamps lit, and we will see you again next week at the freaking shack.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out in the shack with us. If you've got a strange story, theory, or even just a spooky question, send it to shackpackinbox@gmail.com, because we'd love to hear from you. Follow us to ensure that you never miss an episode of The Freaking Shack, because listening to us is much cheaper than therapy and slightly more spooky. Until we meet again next week, Shackpackers, take care.